Dopamine Detox. Written by Thibaut Meurisse. Published by Meurisse Editions, 2020. Introduction. In a world where every ping, like, and scroll is designed to hook your attention, have you ever wondered why you struggle to stay focused, feel constantly distracted, or simply can't bring yourself to do the hard things anymore? Picture this. You're sitting at your desk, determined to work on that important task. But within minutes, your hand instinctively reaches for your phone. Just for a minute, you tell yourself. An hour later, you're deep into YouTube rabbit holes, social media feeds, or gaming sessions. What just happened? This is the story of modern minds being hijacked, and it's exactly where dopamine detox begins. Thibaut Meurisse unravels this mental chaos with striking clarity. At the heart of the book is dopamine, the brain's motivation molecule. Unlike what many believe, dopamine doesn't deliver pleasure. It drives anticipation. It's the fuel behind your cravings. Whether it's checking your notifications, grabbing a sugary snack, or fantasizing about a future success. In today's world, we are constantly overdosing on dopamine triggers, social media, junk food, streaming platforms, and more. As a result, the brain gets desensitized and craves only instant gratification, leaving us numb to real, meaningful work. Meurisse explains this with a brutal truth. Most of us are mentally addicted,
the concept of a
not to
dopamine
substances,
detox,
but to
a conscious
stimulation.
effort to eliminate or
This
reduce high-stimulus
presents
activities
the concept of
so
a
the
dopamine
brain can
detox,
recalibrate its reward
a conscious
system.
effort to eliminate
It's not
or
about
reduce
completely cutting off
high-stimulus
dopamine,
activities,
which is
so the brain
biologically
can
impossible,
recalibrate its
but about
reward
lowering
system.
exposure to
It's not about completely
highly
cutting off
stimulating and non-productive
dopamine,
activities,
which is biologically
so your brain
impossible,
can begin to
but
value
about lowering
and enjoy
exposure to
simpler,
highly
more
stimulating
rewarding efforts
and non-productive activities, so your
Meurisse
brain
lays
can
out a
begin to
simple yet
value
powerful
and
idea.
enjoy simpler,
If you want to
more
do the hard
rewarding
things that
efforts
build your
again.
future, you have to stop numbing
Meurisse
your
lays
brain
out a
with
simple
easy
yet
pleasures.
powerful idea.
One of the
If
most
you want to do
engaging
the hard
parts of the
things
book
that build
is
your
the way
future,
Meurisse breaks
you have
down
to
the
stop
layers of
numbing your brain
distractions
with
in our
easy
lives.
pleasures.
He categorizes
One
them
of the
into
most
three
engaging
levels.
parts of the book
High
is the way
dopamine
Meurisse
distractions
breaks
like
down the
video
layers of
games,
distractions
porn,
in our
social
lives.
media, and binge
He
watching.
categorizes them
These
into
give
three
immediate
levels.
hits and are the most
High
damaging.
dopamine distractions like
Medium
video
dopamine
games,
distractions
porn,
like music,
social media,
casual
and
browsing,
binge
or
watching.
snacking.
These give
Less
immediate
addictive,
hits
but
and
still
are the most
contribute to
damaging.
avoidance.
Medium
Low
dopamine
or
distractions like
productive
music,
tasks like
casual
journaling,
browsing,
reading,
or
walking.
snacking. Less
These
addictive,
are calming,
but still
often get
contribute to
ignored
avoidance.
when we're overstimulated.
Low dopamine or
To help
productive
readers
tasks
detox,
like journaling,
Meurisse
reading, or
provides a
walking.
practical blueprint.
These are calming,
He introduces the
but often
concept
get
of a
ignored
24-hour
when we're
detox,
overstimulated.
where you completely avoid all
To help
high
readers
dopamine
detox,
activities.
Meurisse provides
For some,
a practical
even
blueprint.
one day without
He
their
introduces
phone
the
or favorite
concept of a
distractions
24-hour
can feel unbearable.
detox, where you
And that's the
completely
point.
avoid all high
That discomfort
dopamine activities.
is a sign of mental
For
dependence.
some, even
Once you
one
cross
day
this
without
barrier,
their phone or
your
favorite
mind starts to
distractions
settle.
can feel unbearable.
It becomes quieter,
and that's the
more
point.
focused, and
That
more capable
discomfort
of
is a
handling
sign of
difficult
mental
tasks.
dependence.
But the
Once you
detox
cross
doesn't
this
stop
barrier,
at 24
your
hours.
mind starts to
The
settle.
author encourages
It
readers
becomes
to
quieter,
incorporate
more
dopamine
focused,
discipline into
and more
daily
capable
life.
of handling
He
difficult
stresses
tasks.
on creating boundaries
But the
for social
detox
media,
doesn't stop at
using
24
your phone
hours.
with intention,
The author
and
encourages
replacing
readers
passive
to incorporate
consumption with
dopamine
active
discipline
creation,
into daily life.
like writing,
He
working
stresses
out,
on
or
creating
pursuing
boundaries
personal
for
goals.
social media,
Over
using
time,
your phone
these
with
new
intention,
behaviors start
and
to
replacing
rewire your
passive
brain
consumption
to value
with
low.
active creation, like writing, working out, or pursuing personal goals.
One of the most
Over
inspiring
time,
aspects
these new
of the book
behaviors
is its
start to
minimalist,
rewire your
no-fluff
brain
approach.
to value low.
Meurisse writes in a straightforward, almost therapeutic tone, guiding readers to face
One of the
their
most
habits
inspiring
honestly.
aspects of the
He
book
doesn't shame,
is its
but
minimalist,
empowers.
no-fluff approach.
He helps you understand that it's not your
Meurisse
fault you're
writes in a
distracted.
straightforward,
The system
almost
is designed
therapeutic
that way.
tone,
But
guiding
it is
readers
your
to face their
responsibility
habits
to take back
honestly.
control.
He doesn't
to solidify
shame,
the practice,
but empowers.
The book ends with
He helps you
actionable
understand that it's not your
Track
fault
your
you're
dopamine
distracted.
triggers for a week.
The system is
Do
designed
one
that way.
24-hour detox
But
every
it is
week.
your
Make a
responsibility to
list
take
of
back
low
control.
dopamine, high-value
To solidify the
activities.
practice,
Reward
the
yourself
book ends
only
with
after
actionable
completing meaningful
tips.
tasks.
Track your
Build
dopamine
dopamine
triggers for a
anchors.
week.
Rituals
Do one
like
24-hour
morning routines or
detox every
journaling
weekend.
that help you start
Make
the
a
day
list
right.
of low dopamine,
Gradually
high-value
reduce exposure to
activities.
toxic stimuli
Reward
instead
yourself
of quitting
only
cold
after
turkey if
completing
needed.
meaningful tasks.
Meurisse also encourages
Build
daily
dopamine
self-reflection.
anchors. Rituals like
Asking
morning
questions like,
routines or
"What drained
journaling
my
that help
focus
you start
today?
the day right.
What small win can I
Gradually
celebrate?
reduce
What
exposure
habit can
to
I
toxic
improve tomorrow?"
stimuli instead of
These help
quitting
align
cold
your
turkey
life
if
with
needed.
intentional living.
Meurisse also encourages
Into
daily
dopamine
self-reflection.
Thibaut Meurisse also
Asking
explores
questions
a
like,
crucial psychological
what drained my
concept,
focus today?
the pleasure
What
trap.
small win can I
This
celebrate?
trap
What
refers
habit
to
can
our
I improve
tendency
tomorrow?
to seek comfort
These help
at every
align your
turn.
life with intentional living.
Whenever we're faced with discomfort,
into dopamine
boredom,
detox,
stress, or
Thibaut
emotional
Meurisse
pain,
also explores
our
a crucial
instinct is to
psychological
escape it.
concept.
We
the
reach
pleasure
for our
trap.
phones, snacks,
This trap
Netflix,
refers to our
or anything
tendency
that
to
offers
seek
immediate
comfort
distraction.
at every turn.
But in doing so,
Whenever
we
we're
rob
faced
ourselves
with
of
discomfort, boredom,
Meurisse
stress,
emphasizes
or
that
emotional
growth
pain,
lives on the other side
our
of
instinct
discomfort.
is to escape
When you
it.
numb your pain
We
with
reach
pleasure,
for our phones,
you delay
snacks,
the breakthrough that
Netflix,
discomfort was trying
or anything
to teach
that
you.
offers immediate
He
distraction.
encourages readers to
But in
begin
doing
embracing
so,
boredom
we
again.
rob ourselves
In
of
today's
growth.
hyper-connected world,
Meurisse
boredom
emphasizes
is
that
almost
growth
extinct.
lives on the other
We
side
fill
of
every spare
discomfort.
moment, even
When you
seconds
numb your
in a
pain
line
with
or
pleasure,
during a commute,
you delay
with
the
content.
breakthrough that
But
discomfort was
Meurisse
trying to
argues
teach
that
you.
boredom is not bad.
He encourages
In
readers
fact,
to begin
it's
embracing
essential.
boredom again.
It is in those
In
moments
today's
of
hyper-connected
silence and
world,
emptiness
boredom
that our
is
deepest
almost
ideas
extinct.
and reflections
We fill
surface.
every spare moment,
By
even
detoxing
seconds
from
in a
digital
line or
noise,
during a
we
commute,
give our mind
with
room
content.
to wander,
But
reflect,
Meurisse argues
and
that
create.
boredom is not
The book
bad.
encourages you
In
to
fact,
sit
it's
with your
essential.
thoughts.
It
Even
is
if
in
it's
those
uncomfortable,
moments of
because
silence and
that's where
emptiness
true mental
that our
clarity
deepest
and
ideas
insight
and
begin.
reflections surface.
Meurisse also
By
explores identity
detoxing from
change.
digital noise,
He writes
we give our
that
mind
overcoming
room to
dopamine
wander,
addiction
reflect,
isn't just about
and create.
behavior. It's
The
about
book
how we
encourages you
see
to
ourselves.
sit with your thoughts,
If you still identify
even if
as
it's
a
uncomfortable,
procrastinator
because
or someone
that's
with
where
low
true
discipline,
mental
you'll
clarity
naturally
and
act in
insight
ways that
begin.
confirm that identity.
Meurisse also explores
solution?
identity change.
Begin to rewrite your
He
self-image.
writes that overcoming
See yourself as
dopamine
someone who
addiction
values
isn't just
focus,
about behavior.
calm,
It's
and
about
long-term growth.
how we see ourselves.
Make small decisions
If
every
you still
day that
identify
support
as
this
a
identity.
procrastinator
Over
or someone
time,
with low
your
discipline,
actions shape
you'll
your
naturally
identity,
act in ways
and your
that
identity
confirm that
reinforces
identity.
your actions.
The solution? Begin to rewrite your self-image. See yourself as someone who values focus, calm, and long-term growth. Make small decisions every day that support this identity. Over time, your actions shape your identity, and your identity reinforces your actions. Focus on what to remove. He also emphasizes what to replace distractions with. He recommends filling your detox time with activities that are grounding and meaningful, like reading physical books, taking nature walks, practicing meditation or breathwork, engaging in deep conversations, working on long-term creative goals, exercising or playing sports, learning a new skill offline. These activities may feel dull at first, especially to a dopamine-saturated brain. But with consistency, they begin to rewire your reward system. You start to enjoy the process more than the result. You begin to crave peace over chaos and simplicity over stimulation. Another highlight of the book is its practical simplicity. There's no overcomplication or fluff. Meurisse understands that most people reading the book are already overwhelmed, so he keeps his methods minimal, actionable, and flexible. You don't need to quit everything cold turkey. You can start with a few hours a day of reduced dopamine input. You can build up to a weekend detox. The idea is to make the process sustainable, not stressful. For those working in creative or demanding environments, Meurisse offers tips on how to maintain a dopamine-aware lifestyle without giving up your digital tools. He recommends practices like setting clear dopamine windows, e.g., only checking social media from 7 to 8 p.m., scheduling deep work in the morning when your willpower is highest, keeping your phone in another room while working, using analog tools like notebooks to plan your day, ending each day with digital detox time before sleep. He also shares how these small changes compound over time. Just like constant distractions erode your focus, consistent habits rebuild your attention span. Within a few weeks of applying these detox principles, many readers find themselves finishing tasks faster, feeling calmer, sleeping better, and even enjoying small things, like reading or going for a walk. Meurisse doesn't promise overnight miracles. Instead, he offers a roadmap for gradual transformation. He encourages readers to track their progress, forgive their slip-ups, and keep going. He reminds us that detoxing from dopamine addiction isn't just about improving productivity. It's about reclaiming our inner power. It's about becoming the kind of person who leads life with intention instead of reaction, presence instead of distraction. Beyond the practical advice, Dopamine Detox offers a deep philosophical insight that we have allowed our minds to become slaves to instant rewards. Thibaut Meurisse gently reminds us that the mind is like a muscle, and just like any other muscle, it becomes weak when overused for pleasure and underused for patience. In our modern environment, everything is designed to keep us scrolling, consuming, reacting. But what if we decided to resist that system? What if, instead of being a passive user of dopamine-driven tools, we became active creators of meaning? The author also emphasizes the value of discipline, but not in a harsh or militant way. He views discipline as a gift, the bridge between desire and achievement. Discipline is the act of saying no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what feels incredible later. It's the art of delayed gratification, the single most powerful skill that separates high achievers from the rest. And it's not something you're born with. It's something you can train, just like a muscle, by detoxing from dopamine and embracing discomfort. Another standout theme in the book is clarity of purpose. Many people struggle with motivation because they don't know what they truly want. They chase distractions because their minds are empty of direction. Dopamine Detox urges you to slow down, reflect, and reconnect with your goals. What do you want your life to stand for? What would your ideal day look like if dopamine wasn't running your life? These questions form the foundation of long-term. Thibaut Meurisse also touches on the neuroscience behind detoxing. He explains how dopamine is not the pleasure chemical as many think. It's actually a motivation chemical. It doesn't make you feel good. It makes you want things. The problem is that in today's world, we have hijacked that mechanism. Apps, ads, sugary snacks, and games are engineered to spike our dopamine unnaturally, making natural sources of joy, like reading, walking, working, or talking, feel dull by comparison. Detoxing isn't about eliminating dopamine. It's about resetting your baseline so that real life starts to feel rewarding again. This detox process is not always easy. In fact, Meurisse openly admits that the first few days can feel dull, even depressing. Without your usual dopamine hits, your brain may feel foggy or unmotivated, but this is where the real transformation begins. As your dopamine receptors heal and reset, you'll slowly start to enjoy simple things again. You'll notice the beauty of silence, the joy of a walk, the satisfaction of doing deep work. Life starts to slow down and become richer. The book doesn't ignore resistance or setbacks. In fact, it prepares you for them. Thibaut writes that you will relapse. You will open YouTube or Instagram mindlessly. You'll eat junk food when stressed. But the key is to observe it without judgment and start again. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Each time you fail and return to your path, you're rewiring your brain for resilience and focus.
You can slowly
In the
bring
final
back some
chapters,
dopamine-based
Meurisse
activities,
offers a
like
long-term
social media,
strategy.
movies, or
The
games.
goal isn't to avoid
but with
dopamine
boundaries.
forever.
For
It's
example,
to learn how to
watching
use it
only
consciously.
one episode a week of your favorite
Dopamine
show,
can be your
or
enemy
using
when
social media
uncontrolled,
for 15
but your
minutes
greatest
a day
ally
through a
when
desktop
directed.
browser. not
Imagine
a phone.
channeling your
By adding
dopamine to write a
structure and
book,
intentional
build a
limits,
business,
you can
learn
enjoy modern
music, or
pleasures
master
without
fitness.
letting them rule your mind.
That's the final stage of
Thibaut
detox.
Meurisse
Not
closes
just
the book
resisting
with a powerful
distraction,
message.
but harnessing
Your
your energy
attention is
toward
your
your
life.
higher goals.
What you focus on determines your reality.
Introduction.
If you waste it on cheap
After
dopamine,
your detox period,
you will live a cheap
you can
life,
slowly bring
always
back some
chasing,
dopamine-based
never arriving.
activities like
But if
social
you train
media,
your focus,
movies, or
detox
games,
your mind,
but with
and build
boundaries.
habits around
For
clarity
example,
and purpose,
watching
you
only
will
one
create a
episode
life
a
of
week
depth,
of your favorite show,
creativity,
or
and
using
power.
social media
At
for
its heart,
15 minutes a day
dopamine
through a
detox
desktop
isn't
browser,
just about quitting
not a
social
phone.
media or avoiding
By adding
junk food.
structure and
It's about
intentional
reclaiming
limits,
control
you can
over the
enjoy
narrative of
modern
your life.
pleasures without letting them
Thibaut
rule your
Meurisse
mind.
wants you to recognize how
Thibaut
much of your daily
Meurisse
experience
closes
is
the
no
book
longer
with a
in your
powerful
conscious
message.
command.
Your
Each
attention
swipe,
is your
click,
life.
and scroll
What you focus
takes a
on
little piece of
determines your
attention,
reality.
which is the most
If
valuable
you waste it on
currency
cheap
in your life.
dopamine, you will
And
live
yet
a
most
cheap
of us
life,
give it away so
always
cheaply.
chasing,
For a
never
15-second
arriving.
video, a meme,
But if you
or a
train your
meaningless
focus,
argument online,
detox your mind,
the book
and build
asks a
habits
bold
around
question.
clarity and
If you don't
purpose,
control your
you
attention,
will create a
who
life
does?
of depth,
This is where the
creativity,
detox
and
begins.
power.
Not just a
At its heart,
behavioral reset,
dopamine
but a mental
detox
awakening.
isn't just about quitting social
Meurisse
media or
explains how
avoiding
our
junk
brain's
food.
reward system
It's
is
about
designed
reclaiming
for
control
survival,
over the
not
narrative of your life.
satisfaction.
Thibaut Meurisse
Evolutionarily,
wants you to
dopamine
recognize
was
how
meant
much
to
of your
help us
daily
seek
experience
food,
is no
shelter,
longer in your conscious
connection.
command.
But in the
Each
digital
swipe,
age,
click,
this
and
system
scroll
has been
takes a little piece of
overstimulated
your
to the
attention,
point of dysfunction.
which is the most valuable
We're no
currency in
longer
your life.
chasing what nourishes
And yet
us.
most of us give
We're
it away so
chasing what
cheaply.
distracts us.
For a 15-second
result,
video, a meme,
An
or a
entire
meaningless
generation
argument
that feels
online.
tired,
The
unfocused,
book asks
and
a bold question.
unfulfilled,
If you don't
even when
control your
surrounded
attention,
by
who
convenience.
does? This is where the detox begins.
Explores the
Not just a
concept of
behavioral
mental
reset,
pain avoidance.
but a mental awakening.
Many of us don't use our phones
Meurisse
or binge
explains
watch
how
shows
our
for
brain's
fun.
reward
We do it
system
to
is
escape our
designed
own
for
thoughts.
survival,
Boredom,
not satisfaction.
loneliness, stress,
Evolutionarily,
Instead of
dopamine
processing
was
these
meant to help
emotions,
us seek
we
food,
numb them with
shelter,
distraction.
connection.
Meurisse calls
But
this
in the digital
emotional
age,
buffering.
this system has been
The problem is that
overstimulated
these
to the
emotions
point of
don't
dysfunction.
disappear. They accumulate.
We're no longer
They sit
chasing
in the
what
background,
nourishes us.
feeding your
We're
anxiety
chasing
and
what
discontent.
distracts us.
The only
The
way
result?
out is through.
An entire
Detoxing
generation
gives you
that
the
feels
space to
tired,
confront these
unfocused,
emotions,
and
process them,
unfulfilled,
and finally move
even
forward.
when surrounded
He
by
offers
convenience.
a counterintuitive truth. Boredom is not
Explores
your
the concept of
enemy.
mental
In fact,
pain
boredom
avoidance.
is the birthplace
Many of us don't use our
creativity,
phones or
clarity,
binge watch
and
shows
emotional
for fun.
healing.
We do it to
When you
escape
allow
our own
yourself
thoughts.
to be bored,
Boredom,
truly bored,
loneliness,
your
stress,
mind starts to
fear.
wander.
Instead
and in
of
that wandering,
processing these
you
emotions,
rediscover yourself.
we numb them with
you remember
distraction.
childhood dreams,
Meurisse
suppressed
calls this
emotions,
emotional
unresolved
buffering.
decisions.
The problem
Meurisse
is that
compares
these
this to letting
emotions
the
don't
dust
disappear.
settle in a muddy
They
glass of
accumulate.
water.
They sit
Once
in
you
the
stop
background,
shaking the glass
feeding
with
your
stimulation,
anxiety and
the water
discontent.
clears, and you can
The only
finally
way
see
out
what's
is
inside
through.
you. But
Detoxing gives you the space to
requires
confront
courage.
these emotions,
In the absence of
process them,
dopamine,
and finally
you will face
move
your
forward.
reality, your fears,
He offers a
your failures,
counterintuitive
your
truth.
unfulfilled goals.
Boredom is
Many
not
people
your enemy.
resist this
In
because
fact,
they don't want to
boredom
admit
is
how
the
far
birthplace
they've
of
drifted from the
creativity,
life they want.
clarity, and
But
emotional
Thibaut
healing.
insists this is exactly
When you
where
allow yourself to be
transformation
bored,
begins.
truly
He encourages
bored,
you to forgive
your mind
yourself
starts to
for past
wander.
distractions,
And in that
use the
wandering,
detox
you
period to
rediscover
recalibrate.
yourself.
You're not
You remember
behind.
childhood
You're
dreams,
just beginning to wake
suppressed
up.
emotions,
He also
unresolved
introduces
decisions.
the idea of the dopamine
Meurisse
fast
compares
window,
this to letting the
a
dust
sacred
settle
space
in a
your
muddy
day
glass
where you
of
remove
water.
all high-stimulation
Once you stop
activities
shaking the
and allow
glass
your
with
brain to
stimulation,
reset.
the water
During
clears,
this window,
and you can
avoid
finally
phones,
see what's
computers,
inside you.
processed
But
food,
detoxing
noise,
requires
and anything
courage.
reactive. Instead,
In the absence
you
of
journal,
dopamine,
meditate,
you will face
walk
your
in
reality,
nature,
your
read,
fears,
or sit in
your
silence.
failures, your
It sounds
unfulfilled
simple,
goals.
but the impact
Many
is
people
profound.
resist this because they don't want to admit how far they've drifted from the life they
Another
want.
key takeaway
But
is the
Thibaut
difference between
insists
pleasure
this is
and
exactly
happiness.
where transformation
Modern
begins.
society has
He
confused
encourages
the
you
two.
to forgive yourself
Pleasure is
for
fast,
past distractions
addictive,
and use the
fleeting,
detox
like
period
sugar.
to recalibrate.
Happiness is slow,
You're not behind.
stable, and
You're
deep,
just beginning
like
to wake up.
nourishment.
He
Dopamine
also
detox
introduces
helps
the
you
idea
move
of
from
the
shallow
dopamine
pleasures
fast
to
window,
lasting
a
happiness
sacred
by
space in
making
your
room
day
for
where you remove
meaningful
all
experiences,
high-stimulation activities
working on a
and allow
passion
your brain
project,
to reset.
having a deep deep conversation.
During this window, you avoid
achieving a goal
phones,
after
computers, processed food, noise, and anything reactive. Instead, you journal,
Dopamine
meditate,
detox
walk
helps
in
you
nature,
move from shallow
read, or
pleasures
sit in
to
silence.
lasting happiness.
It sounds
by
simple,
making room
but
for
the
meaningful
impact is
experiences.
profound.
Working on a passion project, having a deep conversation, Achieving
Another
a goal
key
after
takeaway
struggle.
is the difference between
things
pleasure
take
and
effort,
happiness.
but they are rich.
Modern
in fulfillment.
society has confused
Thibaut
the two.
Meurisse
Pleasure
then
is
guides us
fast,
into the
addictive,
architecture of
and
long-term
fleeting,
focus.
like sugar.
Once
Happiness
you reset
is
your
slow,
dopamine system,
stable, and
your
deep,
ability to
like
concentrate
nourishment.
returns.
Dopamine detox
Tasks
helps
that
you
once
move
felt
from
boring
shallow
become
pleasures
engaging again.
to lasting happiness
You start to
by
experience
making room
flow,
for meaningful
the magical
experiences,
state where time disappears,
working on a
and
passion
you're fully
project,
immersed in the moment.
having a deep conversation,
This state is where your best
achieving a
work
goal
happens.
after struggle.
It's where you write, create, innovate, solve problems. Meurisse argues
Dopamine
that deep
detox
focus
helps
is the
you
new
move
superpower,
from shallow pleasures
and dopamine
to
detox
lasting
is how you
happiness
unlock it.
by making room
He also
for meaningful
warns against
experiences,
the danger of rebound
working on a passion
stimulation.
project,
After
having a deep
detox,
conversation,
many people feel
achieving
so
a goal
energized
after
that
struggle.
they binge on distractions
These
again.
things take effort,
He advises
but they
setting
are
up
rich in
safeguards,
fulfillment.
limited screen time,
Thibaut Meurisse
daily
then
digital
guides
sunsets
us into the
when all
architecture
screens
of
are turned
long-term
off,
focus.
and accountability through
Once
friends
you reset
or
your
journals.
dopamine system,
The goal isn't
your
to
ability
become
to
a monk.
concentrate
It's
returns.
to create a lifestyle where your
Tasks
values
that once felt
guide
boring
your behavior,
become engaging
not
again.
your cravings.
You start to
Lastly,
experience
the book
flow,
concludes with a
the
message
magical
of
state where
empowerment
time
and
disappears and you're fully
Meurisse
immersed in the
believes
moment.
every person has
This
the
state
potential
is
for
where your
greatness,
best work happens.
not through luck or talent,
It's where you write,
but through
create,
clarity,
innovate,
consistency,
solve
and
problems.
discipline. Dopamine
Meurisse
detox
argues that
isn't a
deep
punishment.
focus is the
It's
new
a gift
superpower,
you give yourself.
and dopamine
It's the
detox
decision
is how
to
you
stop
unlock it.
surviving and
He
start
also
thriving,
warns against the
to
danger
stop
of
being a puppet
rebound
of
stimulation.
impulses and become the author
After a
of your own
detox,
story.
many people feel so energized that they binge on distractions again.
Is identity
He
transformation.
advises setting up safeguards,
Thibaut doesn't just want
limited
you to
screen
change your
time,
habits.
daily
He wants
digital
you to change how you
sunsets
see yourself.
when all screens are
If
turned
you've been
off,
calling yourself
and
lazy,
accountability through
unmotivated,
friends
or
or
distracted,
journals.
your actions
The goal
will
isn't
always
to
match
become a
that
monk.
identity.
It's to create
That's
a
why
lifestyle
detoxing from
where your
dopamine
values
triggers
guide your
isn't just about
behavior,
behavior.
not your cravings.
It's about rebuilding the story
Lastly,
you
the book
believe about
concludes
yourself.
with a message of empowerment
Meurisse
and
invites
hope.
you to adopt a new identity.
Meurisse believes
Someone
every
who is
person
focused,
has the potential
disciplined,
for greatness,
grounded, and present.
not through luck or
the more
talent,
you live like this,
but through
the more it
clarity,
becomes your truth.
consistency, and
In a
discipline.
world obsessed with instant
Dopamine
gratification,
detox isn't
the book
a punishment.
reminds us
It's
of
a
the power
gift
of delayed
you give yourself.
rewards.
It's
Whether
the decision
fitness,
to stop
learning,
surviving
business,
and start
or
thriving,
relationships,
to stop
real
being a
results
puppet of
take time.
impulses and
But
become the
dopamine
author of
culture
your
has
own
wired
story.
us to expect everything now. This is why we struggle with
Detox
goals
is identity
that don't
transformation.
offer quick wins.
Thibaut
The
doesn't
detox
just want you to
helps
change
rewire
your
your brain
habits.
to fall in
He
love
wants
with
you
the
to
process,
change how you see yourself.
to embrace consistency
If you've been
over
calling
hype,
yourself lazy,
progress over
unmotivated,
perfection.
or distracted,
When you
your
become
actions
someone
will
who finds
always
joy in
match
the
that
journey
identity.
rather than just the outcome,
That's why
you
detoxing
become
from
truly
dopamine triggers
unstoppable.
isn't just about behavior. It's about
Another
rebuilding
golden
the story
insight.
you believe about yourself. Meurisse invites you to adopt a new identity, someone who is focused, disciplined, grounded, and present. The more you live like this, the more it becomes your truth. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, the book reminds us of the power of delayed rewards. Whether it's fitness, learning, business, or relationships, real results take time. But the dopamine culture has wired us to expect everything now. This is why we struggle with goals that don't offer quick wins. The detox helps rewire your brain to fall in love with the process, to embrace consistency over hype, progress over perfection. When you become someone who finds joy in the journey rather than just the outcome, you become truly unstoppable. Another golden insight: the reason we overconsume content or sugar or entertainment is because it's easy. One click, one tap, and we're gone for hours. Meurisse suggests adding friction to your bad habits and reducing friction for good ones. For example, uninstall distracting apps, keep your phone in another room, use blockers on social media, or switch to grayscale mode. On the flip side, keep your books, guitar, journal, or workout clothes nearby, so the better choice becomes the easier one. This small shift in environment can reprogram your behavior automatically. The emotional journey of detox is also addressed deeply. The first few days often feel hard. You'll feel restless, irritated, even depressed. Not because you're broken, but because your brain is recalibrating.
In a world that's constantly screaming for your attention, Dopamine Detox by Thibaut Meurisse is not just a book. It's a wake-up call. It's a reminder that the greatest luxury in today's world is a quiet, focused mind. This isn't about rejecting pleasure or becoming a monk. It's about taking back control from the addictive cycle of cheap dopamine hits that leave you empty and restless. Imagine waking up with clarity, spending your day doing things that truly matter, and going to bed feeling fulfilled, not because you scrolled endlessly, but because you created, built, focused, and grew. That life is possible, and the key isn't hidden, it's already within you. You don't need more hacks, apps, or motivational quotes. You need less noise, less distraction, less chaos. What you really crave is not another hit of entertainment, it's meaning. What your brain is screaming for is not more stimulation, it's stillness. And in that stillness, you'll rediscover who you really are, focused, disciplined, alive. So ask yourself, are you ready to reset your brain? Are you ready to reclaim your attention, rebuild your energy?